Welcome. I want to talk to you about the art curriculum that Focus Education has developed in line with its Learning Challenge curriculum. The art curriculum, as with any other subject, starts with identifying the progression that we feel our children ought to be making. In case of art, we've identified painting, drawing, 3D and sculpture as a major part of the progression that children need to follow. If I can just very quickly share the screen with you and help you understand what I mean by that, you'll see that in the first part of our curriculum, we've made a huge focus, I'm trying to get full screen, just bear with me. We've made a huge focus on ensuring that we go from nursery right through to year 6. Each of the pages, if I just move it on a little bit to give you more sense, each of the pages gives an indication of children's prior learning, in this case it's drawing, what the new learning in that year group should be, what it looks like if it's been successful, what future learning, that is the learning they're going to meet in the next year, looks like, the introduction of key vocabulary, some example or exemplification of what drawings should look like by this age group. Endpoints have been identified, and where appropriate, we're actually making references to artists as well. Now, going through then, as you can see, we take that through for each year group. We actually then put it together. This is just for drawing, don't forget, from nursery through to year 6, just to re-emphasize exactly what that progression should look like. Then we do exactly the same for painting. And if I can just run that through for you, for each of the age groups, as you can see, and then we put that together as you've actually noticed here. We've then done exactly the same for sculpture or three-dimensional work, which includes collage. And again, running that through until year 6. And then eventually, we actually have the final three-dimensional part running from nursery through to year 6. And then we've actually gone and actually shown that we have aimed for 1 unit of art per term in each of the age groups. So in Key Stage 1, we haven't specified year 1 to year 2. Similarly for lower Key Stage 2 and upper Key Stage 2, hopeful that this will be useful for mixed stage classes to look at as well. So we're suggesting that in Key Stage 1, children work to self-portraits and close observational work in drawing, really focus on color mixing and pointillism in painting, create pinch pots for clay, and collage work for sculpture work or three-dimensional work in Key Stage 1. The rest, I think, are fairly explanatory, as you actually see on this particular page here. We actually then suggest that we work to a very given system, which is not dissimilar to the learning challenges way of working. In other words, we start with the linking, which is the prior knowledge of children, moving over to the research it, in this case is artists, another research, in this case is the genre, to help them develop specific technique, to create a draft piece, if you like, okay, or mock it as we call it, and then the final piece, which will actually be part of a class exhibition. There is also an evaluation stage that we're actually recommending. So for each of the units of learning, and here is an example, for instance, of developing a sketchbook as well within this one, okay. So we've got some recommendations for sketchbooks. But for each of them, this is the Key Stage 1 pointillism example. We set it out very similar to the learning challenge with a very clear what is pointillism and how does it work, and then 5 components for the children to work to. So for instance, we then outline what they like. So on the top right-hand corner, we have an overview. In this case, we've decided that the artist we're going to focus on is Georges Seurat. We're also going to actually look at using colored dots as our main technique, and a scheme painted using in our pointillism would be the main outcome. The link it would be children actually really being asked to think about what they might have done in the past that thinks and links them to this pointillism work we're now looking at. We then actually focus on the artist, which includes an internet link for you to go into if you so wish. That's the second stage. The third stage, if you remember, is the research genre side. So we widen the pointillism to look at other artists and how they've developed work in pointillism, but really focus very carefully on the genre that we're looking at. And then there's huge focus on how do we develop children's technique. So here we have a real sort of a view of what we're aiming for children to do. We then have the mock-up, which is on the left-hand side of this page, before moving to the final outcome on the right-hand side of this page. We also, as I said earlier, offer an evaluation sheet, which can be used, or if you have a better one, please make use of your own in that particular case. So for each of the units we've outlined, we provide this level of support for your teachers. And basically, I've now also gone on to a drawing one for your Key Stage 2. This time, what effect can I achieve with pastels? Okay, so again, following the same process, the link it, what experience do they already have working with pastels? The artist in this case, as you can see, was Edgar Degas. So he basically was a French impressionist, as you probably know. We look at the genre of art, okay? Pastels work generally with other artists. Then we look at the actual technique that children would need to develop themselves. There's an internet link here, which looks at 10 oil pastel techniques, which they would have to look at. We will hopefully look at these examples on this page as helpfulness for the staff to actually recognize what's needed inside sketchbooks, particularly. The mock-up is on the left-hand side, and then the final outcomes, if you like, is on the right-hand side in this case, and then the evaluation, as I said earlier. So our art curriculum then is set out in this way. We have a section for early years as well, so that we can actually see how they would work very much along the same mold, using the Development Matters document, okay, where you see for the nursery age children, and it's actually set out in that particular way with suggested books and text for them to use at the same time, okay, and what to look for from their work. Now that's kind of what we've got to in terms of the artwork that we've done. And I'm hoping you'll find that a real support, particularly for teachers who might lack confidence in the teaching of art. We've aimed really to make this as really useful as possible to the staff, okay, in your school. And I'm hoping that you'd really find it helpful in all kinds of other ways. Thank you for listening.